There were key moments, and actually in retrospect they turned out to be key exhibitions in the evolution of the various styles of sculpture that were emerging in the mid-20th century, or the late 20th century. David had introduced me to a young museum director named Sam Green. Sam Green is a legend for those people who knew Sam Green. He was just a brilliant museum director and curator. So he became the director of the Institute of Contemporary Art in Philadelphia. And soon after he started his tenure there, he called me and he said, "Can you be in an exhibition with David Smith and John Chamberlain and Ann Truitt and Tony Caro?" I said, "Of course." You know, it was kind of a curatorial thing then to have the old masters and then bring in a wild card young artist. So I was the wild card young artist. And it was my first museum exhibition. It was absolutely thrilling. He gave me I gave him some models to consider. He picked one that was extremely ambitious. I had it made in a shipyard and completed it in my studio in Brooklyn. By then, I was in graduate school in Pratt, and I kept a studio in Red Hook, which was part of a sail factory or canvas factory. So this was my debut, and as I went there to install my exhibition, Andy Warhol was taking down his exhibition. So Andy saw that there were going to be some good parties, so he stayed. So we immediately bonded and became friends, and we went to all these parties. And on the last night that we were there, somebody came in and announced that New York was in total blackout. It was the Great New York Blackout. So Andy goes, "Oh, the aliens have landed, let's go." So we get in my car and we drive to Manhattan in the middle of the night and come over the George Washington Bridge, and there's not a light, there's nothing. It is, you know, to see New York completely dark is unbelievable, the city of lights. And Andy's sitting in the back seat and he goes, "Wow." Anyway, that was the start of a long friendship. After that, other than becoming friends with Andy and hanging out, but I didn't, after a couple of times at the factory, I didn't go back there. It was just, I don't know, it's too stoned and too communal. But Andy and I were sort of friends on a personal level, like we'd go to the flea market together, or we'd go to a disco together. You know, generally without the entourage, we'd just one-on-one do something simple. And basically he was a shy Polish boy. And he learned to hide behind his camera in the interviews as a means of both propelling his career, this was very savvy, and covering up his shyness. So it was, you know, it was smart. It worked for him really well. And plus he was a great artist and he worked very hard. The next exhibition after that, which was really epic, was Primary Structures, as a result of 7 sculptors. Kynaston McShine, the famous curator who was at MoMA for many years, Trinidadian, very elegant, black, gay man, gorgeous and smart. It was my first real curatorial experience, and working with Kynaston probably spoiled me for the rest of my life. My expectations have been so high since then. But that was a brilliant exhibition where he defined a stylistic shift in art history, which had no name then. It wasn't yet called minimalism. It was ergo the title Primary Structures. And here is this black Trinidadian curator filling up the Jewish museum with all this completely off-the-wall avant-garde, and off the ceiling, my piece was bolted to the ceiling, as were a number of other artists. And it was a revolutionary moment in the evolution of art history. It was almost frightening in its success, because it was so crowded and it was so media saturated that you couldn't breathe. The TV cameras were following you into the bathroom, and that everybody wanted to get the story because it just had so much electric energy.